Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review HBO's original series, House of the Dragon, Episode 3, Second of His Name. Apologies again for the morning voice, but, HBO, they don't want to send us those screeners, so bright and early, we're like Corliss and Damon. We do the work that other people don't want to do.
It's Labor Day, too.
Yeah, look at us laboring.
I'm about to start a union. This is unfair.
It's just you and Nash, and not even Teddy. Teddy's anti-union.
Yeah.
But this episode promised some big things, and I think they delivered, especially at the end of the episode, but even the beginning, teasing Daemon on the back of the dragon, trying to hunt down the crab feeder. Another time jump. It's been 3 years since the last episode, so Viserys has a son. He's got another one on the way. Queen Alicent is obviously pregnant. Things also haven't really changed for Renaira. If anything, they've gotten worse. Her position has become more unclear. She feels more stagnated, and also feels like no one's really there to guide her. So things in the Targaryen household have become a bit icy. And of course, in the Stepstones, things have become a bit dire. So there was a lot going on in this episode, from the quieter moments to obviously the bigger battle moments that were promised. And I thought for the most part, this episode, like the previous two, delivered on most fronts.
No, this episode I really enjoyed. I think even save the battle sequence, which we'll talk about later. I think Paddy Considine and Millie Alcock, as great as they have been the first two episodes, they really blew me away this episode. I think they were both fantastic, and they really continue just to own those roles. And obviously Matt Smith as Daemon is becoming a fan favorite. I wouldn't say surprisingly, but the type of character he is to have such a supporting, like people actually just wanting him to win, I think is pretty cool. But yeah, he was awesome. And I think starting that episode off in the Stepstones with Daemon on Dragonback, but them having a little fight to them. We've heard all the times the stories about how Dorne was able to kind of hold their own against Aegon and kind of delayed their joining of the Seven Kingdoms because they were able to be a little bit crafty, and they didn't really show it too much, I guess, with the arrows and the defenses they had when the dragon did come. But you kind of just assume that when they talk about them hiding in the caves, being very selective, that even though you have these dragons, there are still ways, and a general or a leader can manipulate his warfare to adapt and survive, if not eventually kind of start winning.
Yeah, when you read up on the Dornish resistance, a lot of guerrilla warfare tactics, hiding away, so the crab feeders were using the caves, which was smart, and pulls at my heartstrings when those dragons come under fire. It's like watching one of the wolves become injured in the original series. I feel bad for the dragons. I felt bad when it happened to Drogon, so I felt bad for Caraxes here. But the way it was shot at nighttime, he's just stomping around. Yeah. I got such a kick out of that
prince, here to save me.
Here to save me,
David,
my prince.
David!
Yeah.
David, over here! David!
Well, in a way, he ended his suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he wasn't surviving.
Those big daddy steps, Dragon comes on. But they, like you said, they had their tactics. They weren't afraid. They had a game plan there. And even though the crab feeders, we don't get much time with them, I think they definitely get under your skin as villains, and it's perfect for a character like Daemon, who's done some questionable things, to pit him up against these freaks. It's like Cersei and the Sparrows, right? Even though you might not love Cersei, you definitely hate these motherfuckers. And when they're putting hands on dragons, kill them all, right? I'm a pacifist, but you heard an animal. The stag scene.
Yeah.
Even though I like what it symbolizes, but still. I said last episode, the one thing I can't handle, or after the first episode, is violence against animals. Yeah. So they wrote that down. Check. Put that right in episode 3 for you.
It got worse.
No, it was nasty, man.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how they were able to make it, because you think, obviously, dragons, you're going to win every conflict that comes to pass. So they made it a little bit up in the air here, and obviously we had the 3-year jump. I love how it took Gilly's baby 7 seasons to age. And there's here's Aegon.
The Targaryen genes, man.
He's older than he ever was.
Yeah.
Little Sam, R.I.P. He didn't die, though.
Well, there was a Samwell in this episode. Yeah. I wonder if they're related.
And, seeing everyone in the council kind of getting introduced to some new characters. We have Otto's brother, not Jason Lannister.
Tywin
Lannister, his twin brother, also played same guy who played Sir Hugh of the Vale. And we RIP'd Sir Hugh of the Vale week 1, and he heard that. He's like, I'm about to come back on you. I'm playing 2 characters, so welcome back, Sir Hugh. But Lannister twins. And yeah, you see how the birth of a son has complicated things, especially with some of the High Lords, especially with some of the High Towers who they would see benefit the most for having their grandson or grand nephew take the throne. Viserys named Renaira heir, but you see how that all gets muddled when an actual firstborn son is brought into the mix.
Yeah, his performance this episode, he is just like a drunken, stumbling, bumbling man who's, we've mentioned it, being pulled in every direction, and he's really starting to feel it, and you could feel it through his performance. Some of those scenes when he just really just breaks down, like in front of Alicent, or the way his behavior during the whole feast. You could tell that he's on edge here. He's a bit unhinged, and it's easy to set him off. Someone who's shown the ability to remain cool and calm in these moments as king. His biggest flaw was that he wasn't assertive enough, but now that aggressiveness is coming out in ways that aren't beneficial, that only sows the seeds of dissent and treachery. He was all over the place in this episode, but that's just a testament to his acting abilities, that he could portray that so well.
He was fantastic in this episode. All of his interactions with Renaira, I thought he was very good in, and those moments when he is kind of losing grip on certain things. I think his performance really portrays that emotion and of a man that is not lost, but like you said, just being pulled in so many different directions, just not sure what to do, unsure of himself, really. I think as the episode progresses, we really get to see him really get into this character in a way that, like I said, he's been great all season long, but I think this is the best he's been.
Yeah, that shot in front of the fire is where you can really see it all coming apart, where he's second-guessing himself. He's wondering if he made the right decision naming Renaira the heir, because the way customs, the way law works in this society, it goes to the firstborn son. So it was never his intention to complicate things, because I think with Alicent, it was just something he wanted to do. He mentions he never wanted to remarry, and then he formed this bond with Alicent, and he saw the opportunity, and he gives Renaira that same opportunity in the end here, saying, you go out and you find your match. He's trying to get her back on his side, giving her that freedom. But yeah, it's really a man who's unraveling, and that really just adds to the whole Shakespearean vibes of the story. And we commented on the preview episode, you need to make sure this is a strong character where his perspective is known, everyone can see where he's coming from as a member of the audience. And there's so many great scenes with him in this episode, like the scene with the stag. I think that perfectly captures how he doesn't have a hold on things. He stabs the animal in the wrong way, and then he has to go back in. It's nasty, it's tough, it's not easy. Nothing about what he's had to go through has been easy. That scene for me was one of the hardest scenes to watch. Like I said, I can't stand killing innocent animals.
Isn't that a hunt?
I know, it's such a pussy way to do it.
Say what you will about Robert Baratheon. He'll die before he has another man tie up his prey.
Well, Renaira did what he couldn't.
Yeah, killed the boar.
Right. And little help, little assist from Crispin.
Yeah, but it's a team effort. I'm not saying you can't have...
Robert had a squad out there.
You can't win it on your own. He had Sir Barristan.
Yeah, he had Sir Barristan. He had Loras.
Yeah.
No, not Loras. Lancel.
Renly.
Right.
But...
Never made the 8.
It's a shame. Her choosing not to kill the white stag, and I thought that was great symbolism too, or the white stag coming to her. I do like when they do symbolism without animals. Obviously, the pilot episode of Game of Thrones, the stag buried into the dead direwolf with the babes coming, the wolf pups. So yeah, I thought that was all pretty well done. But Renaira, this episode, obviously there's a time jump, but you can obviously tell there's been a huge disconnect between her and her father, and her and Alicent up until this point.
Yeah, what do you think about that? The way they've handled the time jumps. Do you think that time is still represented in the story we're seeing? Do you feel that those years in these performances?
Yeah, I think they did right away. I think it's clear that Renaira you can put the pieces together. She feels slighted. She feels put to the side. Obviously, she feels betrayed by Alicent and her father. So I think that's all you really need to do to establish is that shot of her in the Godswood while everyone else is inside having a good time and celebrating. She's playing her sad girl playlist on repeat.
That's exactly what she's doing, right? So you want me to shuffle? Put on the new Beyonce album's great. No, just play the hits. And Alicent comes to her defense a few times in this episode. Like when they're having the conversation at the feast, the women are questioning Renaira. Why did she deserve to supplant Daemon's position? And it's Alicent who says Rhaenyra is more suited to it. So she's trying to play the role of moderator, keep the family together, but she's in a very awkward position as well, because it's not only Viserys and Rhaenyra, it's Alicent's got Viserys to deal with, she's got her father to deal with, the Hightowers have their own agenda. That was a great introduction to the Hightower brother. Immediately, he just pushes his Otto. You think Otto's a bad guy. This guy's like, you need to get Aegon to be named heir.
A little finger.
Yeah, right. You got you got a medium finger.
Alicent, I can't wait. Her just pulling rank on Rhaenyra. That was just...
It comes very natural to her.
I know, but it's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
but it's like, I guess, yeah, that's
she's the queen.
She's the fucking queen.
Yeah. Letter of the law. Come on, man.
We were like best friends, and I was like, every friend group has the top dog. It's like, I was just top dog. Now you're coming in.
I'm not the leader anymore.
Now you're top dogging me.
She did reverse it on her. Is that a king's order?
In front of my music man.
Yeah, I thought their interactions were handled very well. A part of me wishes there was maybe 1 or 2 more episodes where that relationship with them as children could have been developed further, but I think it's been developed well enough to get to these points where it's awkward to watch them have these interactions. Instead of being friends, now they're family in such a fucked up way.
Well, what I've been impressed with is, if anyone who's like read, and especially the novella Princess and the Queen, like, we're not even at the beginning of that, and there's still a lot of big shit to happen. So I'm impressed the way they're able to lead up to that and still have these big moments and still keep the intrigue without it doesn't seem like they're in any rush to get there, even though there are I think that makes the time jumps necessary, because that's the meat of your story. Instead of maybe taking 1 or 2 episodes to get there, spread it out a little bit, but still making these episodes so interesting, I think has been really well done so far. And not making the time jumps just jarring and hit you out of nowhere. It's been flowing pretty nicely.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a good job of making Alicent a sympathetic character. When she's having those conversations with her father, she goes, yeah, who wouldn't want to see their son be king? But that's not necessarily my ambition. I'm just kind of playing my role. I'm doing my part here, trying to make you happy, trying to make Viserys happy. And we know how that turns out. When you're trying to serve all these different masters, it can get into your head a little bit.
It's setting up where everyone can kind of see the writing on the wall of pieces are slowly starting to be put in place, and every piece that's put into place, just instead of making it stronger, just makes everything else weaker. So yeah, in that perspective, I think, like you said, with Otto's brother right away, I mean, when they come off of the cart proclaiming him Aegon II, basically him proclaiming him heir before Viserys does, the way the highborn lords and ladies kind of look at Rhaenyra, she kind of seems like an outcast, or like everyone else knows that she's not the heir anymore, but it's just unsaid at this point. Jason Lannister. It's so funny to think like that's Tywin's older ancestor. Yeah. For some reason, I always think of like the ancestors as even more and more noble, and then it just keeps slowly devolving as the family tree goes down.
Right, yeah.
But you see that, yeah, he's kind of...
It's just Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah. So his Spittin' Wild game, I'm going to try that next time.
We could build a dragon pit.
We could pit you a dragon pit.
Rhaenyra's like, for what? You have dragons? Even Viserys hit him with that line. You have dragons to offer? What the hell are you offering me here? Alright guys, before we get to the second half of this review, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, Smile Brilliant. I'm sure that everyone can agree that we live in stressful times. Whether it be the economy, the political climate, balancing work and home life, all of these things lead to stress, which is the most common cause of grinding your teeth in your sleep. The damage of grinding and clenching in your sleep can be irreversible, resulting in worn-down tooth enamel, cracked teeth, chipped teeth, and infections. The cost of cosmetic fixes can run you thousands of dollars, and night guards at the dentist can cost anywhere between $200 to $600. Yikes. But with one of Smile Brilliant's affordable, custom-fitted night guards, you can return to a peaceful night of sleep without worrying about any potential damage to your teeth. Right now, if you visit SmileBrilliant.com, you will receive 20% off all products, simply by using our promo code NERDSOUP. Their night guards run as low as $45 per guard. Plus, they have a great selection of other great products like whitening trays, whitening gels, electric toothbrushes, and so much more. And remember, you can head on over to SmileBrilliant.com and use our promo code NERDSOUP for 20% off all products. So don't wait, hit that link, and take care of your teeth. So it's so important. So important. Yeah, the politicking of this episode was clever, and I think Millie Alcock continues to deliver such a charming performance as Rhaenyra. Some of her comebacks.
And how have you served the man with late Lady Red Wine? Waiting cake.
She reminds me of Tyrion, or even Jon Snow in the books, where she's got this warmth to her. You could tell that she's the hero, but she's got a slick tongue, you know? She's not too careful about who she snaps back at or hiding her intelligence, that she could play the game with some of the big boys here.
Lord Jason Lannister.
Gathered that from all the lions.
So the way I think she turns down the Lannister proposal was brilliant. And I think that Tylan, Jason, those are Lannisters, right? They captured the vibe. When I first saw that Stark, that's not a Stark. These were Lannisters. And I think a lot of fans probably got a kick out of seeing them back and acting in this way, right? It just checks a box. Those are the Lannisters. That's how they act. I'm satisfied with this. But that's the common theme of the episode for Renaira, is that she has to find a marriage, and she doesn't want to do that, so she runs away. And it's just not about the fact that she's being forced to get married. It's like you said, nobody's looking at her as the heir. There's this air around her of someone who's eventually going to be passed over as sort of the black sheep of the family. Because you were the only child, you were set up, but now everything's changed. When you have this Aegon with the fucking silver hair flowing in the wind, you know, if he came out with black hair, maybe that would have done her some favors, like a Jon Snow situation. But she runs off, and it's Kristen Cole who follows her, and they continue to develop this, you know, the classic Kingsguard princess relationship. So you wonder where that is going to go. But he was there. He was sort of like a steady hand for her, a shoulder to lean on, somebody to actually talk to. She mentions that that no one's there for her. She says that very openly to Viserys and Alicent. So Kristen is the character who plays that role in this episode, and I thought those were some strong scenes as well. When she asks him, "Do you think they'll accept me as queen?" and he says, "Well, I'm old school. They'll have to, because they bent the knee, but we'll see." But I thought that, you know, the boar coming out of nowhere scared the shit out of me.
When he's looking into like the darkness, that was pretty scary.
Yeah,
I think they did a good job of capturing that, but. Yeah, I think their relationship is something that's going to continue to develop. And here, obviously, he has a lot to owe Renaira, her making that decision at 15 to anoint him to the Kingsguard and basically changing his entire life. He remarked that, like, that's the best thing that ever happened to any Cole, and how before then he could have married, but any commoner. And what Renaira remarks with her, like, it's like, well, at least you had a say in it. So you kind of see the benefits and the pros and cons of being born into this life versus probably, in a way, more freedoms if you're just a lowborn living day to day.
Yeah, it's like Succession, right? These kids are born into immense privilege. They have the world at their fingertips. But why do they still act this way? Because when you're born into that role, there's certain things expected of you. So he tells Renaira there's plenty of people out there, plenty of common folk who would gladly trade positions with you. And she says, well, that's because they've never held this position. That, yeah, of course, you know, you get 3 meals a day, you get to ride a dragon, you live in a big house. But I think the mental strength that you need to be able to weather all the politicking, all the shit that's being thrown at you, all the expectations, all the insecurities, it's a lot. But I think they keep setting up this character Renaira as someone who can do the things her father can't. In episode 2, there's this standoff with Daemon. Renaira comes and saves the day. Episode 3, big hunt to celebrate the birth of Aegon, and he can't even fucking kill the stag that's being held down for him. Meanwhile, she kills a boar out on her own. Well, with Kristen, you know, and she comes back triumphant. I've returned with the boar. We're all going to eat good tonight. You know, she keeps accomplishing the things that he can't. So it's interesting, you know, this hesitation to name her the heir.
I'm glad they didn't kill the white stag, but if she came back with that bad boy on her shoulders, just draped, walking through and threw it at him, that
let him go.
Fucking sick.
All of a sudden, Kristen does a Todd.
Oh, no.
Just shoots him in the face. Where'd you get a gun?
That would have been badass. I think everyone would have been like, all right, she's queen.
You know, she's queen now.
Or like they would have had to spin zone their omens. Well, yeah, before when I said that was an omen for Aegon, I was I was just joking.
White's a weak color. That's means
Direwolf would
surrender.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean surrender to fucking Daemon.
No, that was fucking gangster as hell. You want to jump to that, or should we talk about some of the other dramatic scenes? I really love the scene between Renaira and Viserys at the end. Super emotional.
Yes.
And like I said, he gives her that freedom to go out and pick her own husband, and he promises her that she won't be supplanted. She didn't seem so reassured by that, but I guess it's nice hearing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's been something she's been mulling over by herself. So it's a nice father and daughter moment to just reaffirm that bond, and that Viserys doesn't want to go against his word. There's an honor to that character, without a doubt.
Well, he even said it's like he didn't do it out of just because.
Yeah, it wasn't on a whim.
Yeah. So.
Right. And I think that was a great scene, too, when Jason Lannister just goes directly to the source. Hey, Renaira said no, so I'll just ask you. And that really ticked him off.
Getting a dragon or not?
I just want a dragon.
I think Lionel Strong, he's the best, right?
Love me some Lionel Strong.
Just making good suggestions. That's all he's there for.
Everyone needs a Lionel Strong by their side.
He just wants to do his job.
Right, and he suggests that Renaira marries Laenor, so it can make up for the mistake he made by not marrying Laena, reunite those two houses, two of the strongest houses in the kingdoms. It's just so refreshing to see a character give unbiased, unfiltered advice without all the nonsense, without the angling, the bullshitting. He's just there to be a good dude, express what he thinks is the best course of action.
Otto Hightower being like, well, she can marry your 2-year-old son.
That was a great moment as well, because the way he tells him to back the fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm fucking sick of this. I've come here to enjoy my time. You're trying to get me to wed my children. One's an infant, the other's 17. What the hell? And I'm glad they do acknowledge that, because everyone always defends the weird age gaps as, oh, it was the time, right? But even in the show, it can be, that's just too much. This man Otto has no shame. He's willing to pull any card at any time. And he was hesitant at the beginning of the episode, right? When his brother pushes him into it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is, things are settled. Then next day, he's already politicking.
Imagine marrying a baby, but you're not married, I guess. You have to wait. But then I guess she married, they're betrothed. She's 17 and she has to wait 13 years. So she's just sitting there for 13 years, basically just taking care of a child. That sucks.
I'm sure other people will help. Got to keep those bloodlines
pure,
baby.
He'll be 32 and he'll be 15.
Right.
I mean, Viserys was even worse. He's probably 40-something, and she was 12.
Yeah.
And Alicent's will be 15.
We'll give him 40-something. We'll be kind.
Yeah. Well, and obviously she can't marry Laenor if he gets fed to crabs. So I guess that kind of gets the ball rolling on sending some aid to his brother and the Sea Snake and the Stepstones, because I guess the hesitancy was just you don't want to help them because they're going on their own accord. But I would argue that that would show strength, showing them that they can't do anything in 3 years. Now we're going to come help, and right away we settled it. We're the crown, so we hold all the power. And I think that's kind of what Daemon saw as well. It is a pride thing, but also in his perspective, is my brother really trying to help, or is he just trying to come and swoop in, take all the glory, another victory for him, improve his standing with the realm?
Daemon just goes ahead and says, I'll do it myself. It was a Thanos moment. And I guess we can just talk about that conflict there at the end.
He didn't say one word. Read that letter, I was like, bet.
Yeah, and I thought
ran in.
That setup was awesome. Just no word, no dialogue, really spooky, really eerie. A man on a suicide mission.
I always hate when they shoot the messenger, though.
It happens, man. As going into the messenger job, you got to know that.
King Leonidas, 300, dickhead. Literally killed the messenger.
Yeah.
The one thing you're not supposed to do to the messenger. I mean, Daemon just roughed him up a little.
You think you're walking into Sparta and not taking a couple licks? Duck and dodge. Jesus fucking Christ. They advertise what they're about pretty explicitly.
Yeah, but show some decorum.
Right. And Daemon's going to be fine reading this note. He's an even-keeled guy. Been in battle for 3 years. I'm sure he's exhausted. Can't get too worked up. Yeah, and also I wanted to circle back on that beginning. It's always amazing, and the ending battle too, but the way that this show and Game of Thrones before it can make destruction look so beautiful. Those sequences are always so well shot with a great attention to detail. It's just not chaos for the sake of entertainment. There's a real skill, there's a touch to all the madness. I think that was such a cool way to shoot a battle, though. You start with the one-man wrecking crew. Maybe it's not so believable that he was able to take them all out, but you know what it was? It was cinematic.
Yes.
And that is what matters the most to me. If it can come off as silly, to me, they got close to that line.
Looked cool.
But they didn't, right. If it looks cool, that really adds to it. I don't think they crossed over that line of ridiculous.
Once he finally got hit and had to take shelter, I'm like, okay. They realize that he can't just keep doing this. But there was a point when he's running through, it's like this whole stormtrooper thing. It's I wish sometimes filmmakers would put a little bit more effort into making it believable, or having some aspect of just a couple dodges, maybe hiding under things, strategically picking where he's taking shelter and moving forward. Just things like that to kind of really bring it to life. But at the end of the day, it's entertaining as hell. So
I think he was really ready to die.
Yeah.
Sort of fuck you, Viserys. You've left me out here for 3 years. I know we didn't end on great terms, but you're going to try and swoop in, finish the thing that I started. So I'm going to do it. If I die, I die. If I don't, I get to go on and be a character in the show for a couple more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Works. It's a win-win, basically, because I think drawing them out, obviously he does have to survive for a little bit there, so he does draw them all out, and that's when the dragon comes, see smoke, we see Laenor on the back of his dragon, and that's something that we've been teasing, that there are more dragons out there, and we're going to see who's actually riding them. I did love Corlys game planning that, we just need to keep hitting them with the dragons. That's just the spam button when you're playing Mortal Kombat. It's the best move you have, right?
If I had dragons, that's all I would do.
Yeah, just button mashing the
I
dragons.
would just light them up.
But it's a clever plan. Like, they all think he's going to surrender, and he just starts beating the fucking shit out of them, and then their army comes, the dragon comes. It was so cinematic, so epic. I love the way that they didn't show us the death of Krager, that he runs in after him, and he comes out triumphant with half the man's fucking body chopped off.
That was crazy.
Everyone's wondering how come he doesn't catch Grayscale.
It could be like Shireen's Grayscale.
Right.
Or Stormont.
I don't know how Daemon knows that, but he just doesn't give a fuck. It's a badass, right? Daemon's anti-mask.
That'd be so fun. They should do a spin-off where it's Grayscale Epidemic. And just seeing the different characters, what their take is on. Sam is like Fauci, I guess.
He becomes the most hated man in the Seven Kingdoms. I know Sam was in those labs in Bravos.
Yeah, I think it's just assumed that it's a dormant case and not active.
Right.
My many years at Westerosi Medical School.
What did you think about Laenor going woo while on the back of the dragon?
Have fun.
Yeah, right. It's kind of it's a bit disturbing though.
Well,
when you're having that much of a great time on the back of an Apache helicopter.
I mean, at this time, it's been 3 years of fighting these sickos. They probably have crucified many of your friends and fed them to crabs. So at this point, like, just finally getting the upper hand. And really, like we said, well, like it's been said in the show, nobody has battle experience. So this is really the first time. So
Corlys looked cool too in that helmet.
That.
He looked like such a fucking warrior. Him and his brother.
Yeah.
Man, people were making fun of Caraxes' neck. I love the build of that dragon, especially the way it flies. The way it slithers through the air. You could tell that it's got some agility to it. It's going to be a tough dragon when they go head to head.
Well, yeah, I didn't know, like, at first when it was coming, I just assumed it was Caraxes. Like, he just, I don't know, maybe, or either no rider or somebody else was riding it, but then we saw it was Laenor on Sea Smoke, so.
Yeah, that was very cool, man. Like I said, they promised us a battle, and I think they delivered. It's something that we waited so long to see in Game of Thrones, and now by episode 3, we're seeing these incredible weapons of warfare, so destructive, how deadly they can be in the open field. Yeah, you can hold them off a bit, hiding in caves, guerrilla war tactics, but when you're going up against them head to head, it's just no contest, whether if it's breathing fire or picking up soldiers and fucking launching them from the battlefield. It's just awesome. But like I said, Daemon comes out very triumphant, very cinematic. This man doesn't say a single word the entire episode, and he absolutely steals the show. We'll see how this impacts his rep throughout the Seven Kingdoms. He's now the man who's restored order on the Stepstones.
Think he's gonna get like a cool nickname from it?
Doesn't he already have a nickname?
I know, but like I feel like every time someone does something cool, everyone has to make a nickname for him.
Yeah, you do get a new nickname every time you do something cool, yeah.
Daemon the Crab Eater.
Crab Cooker.
Crab Cooker.
They give it a Brooklyn accent too. Oh, it's the Crab Cooker. He's back.
Yeah, both Targaryens two Targaryens coming out. Maybe not. Yeah, somewhat victorious, covered in blood.
Yeah, that was nasty with Renaira, man, when she just lets it all out. Just a moment to let out all of your frustrations, everything that's been boiling up. So in this moment, it's a bore. Who knows what happens the next time she loses it. And the same thing with Viserys, right? Unable to control his emotions, keep his composure when he has to kill the stag. So they're both going through very similar things. And what makes it so sad is that they're supposed to be family, right? There's nobody you're closer with than parent and child. And it's like even though they can help each other, they really can't, because so many other things are keeping their attention or pulling them in different directions, keeping them from just actually supporting each other. It's the difference between being father and daughter and being king and princess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Obviously, in the previous, in the next week's preview, we see some of how Daemon is received after this victory and kind of how he kind of gets a little swagger back. Past 3 years, maybe he got humbled a little, but now that he's victorious and has a big victory, shoring up his allegiances, creating further divide. And yeah, we'll see how that works, especially with Renaira and who she chooses to betroth. If she does take the smart route and go with somebody like Laenor, or choose somebody and follow her heart the way her father or a commoner would. And yeah, obviously with Alicent, I think just keep driving a wedge between father and daughter.
Well, like Viserys said, if he had told Rhaenyra, don't marry the Lannister, she would have ran off with him. So now that he's given her the freedom, she's going to take the best match.
Yeah.
She's going to review all the candidates and be like, okay, this works best for House Targaryen. Because she's an asshole like that, which makes her likable. Mm-hmm. That's why I said she's got some Jon Snow in the books to her. You know, she's got some edge.
It's funny they marry, like, politicians pick their running mates. It's like, well, I don't do well with the middle America, so I'll take the more moderate.
Yeah, take a Tully.
Yeah, and the guy from Ohio.
I struggle in the Riverlands.
Yeah. Let me get those poll numbers up.
I love fish. That's the commercial that's been.
And like winter, I am coming.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next episode. I didn't actually get to watch that preview. I totally forgot about that.
I like the previews and the inside the episodes and all that. But yeah, Alicent, I mean, that conversation with Viserys, I think, was one of the more important ones, just seeing where they're both at. And I think, I don't know, Viserys, like we said, he does have this sort of honor to him, but at the same time, you see just how much, like, I don't know if he's strong enough to keep getting pulled in every direction, making these decisions, having basically the whole realm breathing down his neck.
I mean, he admits, I had my wife killed because I was so obsessed with this dream, this vision of my son wearing the conqueror's crown. But it's because of the social fabrics, the laws of gods and men, these expectations they place on people, that even though they keep reinforcing Rhaenyra is obviously the best person for the job. Even now with the new son, it's something that he didn't expect. So now it's like, oh, this was the dream I had, right? I envisioned my son on the throne. So did I make a mistake? Did I make another mistake? It's just a lot.
Well, it's probably a baby, and you can't really tell. Like, babies look like babies. Could have been a girl. Idiot. But yeah, if he stands sturdy and it's like, no, I picked Renaira, that's it. You know, some of the lords, even though they swear fealty, that's when things start to get a little shaky, even within his own house with Alicent and Otto. So
yeah, I mean, the way they talk about it, that all these lords, and like you said, the way that the highborn women look at Rhaenyra, the expectation is that Aegon will be king. And it sucks for a character like Alicent because they are positioning her as someone who's been thrown in the fire and is forced to juggle so many things, and that's for a lot of these characters. So I think they've really established the weight of the expectations of the world when it comes to these characters' decisions. And like I said, I'm looking forward to episode 4. It's got a great title, King of the Narrow Sea. So we'll see what ends up happening
with
there.
The fresh cut too, man.
NFL Sunday, and we will be back later in the week with our spoiler discussion. There's a lot to talk about this episode, a lot of fun things, so I'm excited to get Nash's thoughts on the episode, bringing him back for another hot D.
Teddy's just getting, pretty soon, no one's going to know who he is.
He's getting usurped.
Yeah.
That's good. He needs to be humbled.
He's getting more than humbled here. He's getting fired.
Alright guys, that does it for this video. Thank you for joining us for this review. For Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, I am Beau Oliver. Before we sign off, I want to quickly spotlight our weekly podcast, the Nerd Soup Podcast, published every Wednesday at noon. Every week, you could join myself, Aaron, Teddy, and the rest of the Nerd Soup crew as we discuss the hottest stories in movies and TV, equipped with some off-the-cuff commentary on the world of pop culture, while also providing extended reviews for the movies and shows we love. You can subscribe to our podcast channel on YouTube at the Nerd Soup Podcast, which can also be found on our Nerd Soup homepage, and you can listen to episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all of the podcasting platforms we publish to. Thank you again for joining us on this review, and we will be back next week to review House of the Dragon, Episode 4.
Damn, we were making some good points in that video. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey here. Before we end this video, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. What can I say about you guys that I haven't already said about myself? You are the most important part of the channel and the main reason we keep going strong. Like Beau says, you keep the lights on in the fridge so the fridge is full. Or something like that. So, from everyone here at Nerd Soup, I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support. If you're interested in joining the ranks of our patron supporters, head over to patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out the rewards we offer to our patrons. We recently dropped some new stickers for you guys to check out, or you could choose a tier that will allow you to select a movie, show, or video game for us to review. We've got a full slate of fan-suggested reviews coming your way, and we're really excited about the chance to review some of those movies and shows. We've also got t-shirts, mugs, behind-the-scenes videos showing how we bring our videos to life. And once again, thank you to all our Patreon pledgers who have been supporting us throughout the years. Without you, we wouldn't be able to convert all your pledges into cryptocurrency, so thank you from my future self for making us broke.